Okay, let's get straight into it. We're doing a whip check today.
A whip check. Okay, I like it.
Yeah, like, sizing up a new Challenger. Does it really have the goods to compete? We're looking at the 2024, maybe 2025 Chevrolet Blazer EV.
Right, and specifically that high-performance SS version. We want to see if it really stacks up in the electric SUV space.
Exactly. We've been digging through some YouTube reviews. Doug Demuro gave a good overview of the whole Blazer EV lineup.
Yeah, and then Redline Reviews and Autofocus, they really zeroed in on that SS model.
So our mission today, really, is to figure out where this Blazer EV, especially the SS, fits in this, super fast-moving electric SUV market.
What makes it tick?
Yeah.
The quirks, the features, the performance, obviously, and the value.
Definitely the value. And honestly, before we even get to the SS Speed stuff, the standard Blazer EV trims, they're a bit of a head-scratcher already.
Oh, yeah. The lineup for the standard models is, let's say, unconventional. You got the LT, the RS, and then it jumps straight to the SS.
Okay, so the LT, the starting point, Doug mentioned, it's around what? $56,700?
Something like that, yeah. And interestingly, it's all-wheel drive standard.
Right. Power to all four wheels. Gives you about 290 horsepower, maybe 290 miles of range estimated. Seems simple enough.
It does, right, until you hit the RS trim. This is where it gets weird.
Okay, how so?
Well, there's an all-wheel drive RS that costs less than the rear-wheel drive RS.
Wait, less? Usually all-wheel drive costs more.
Exactly. And both of those RS versions have basically the same power and range as the LT, around 290 miles.
Okay, hold on. So the more expensive RS is rear-wheel drive. Does it get you anything else?
It does, a little bit. You step up to maybe 325 horsepower, and the range bumps up slightly to around 325 miles.
So you pay more, lose all-wheel drive, but gain, what, 35 horsepower and 35 miles of range?
Pretty much.
Wait.
Yeah, it's an odd choice they're giving people, kind of specific.
Why do you think they'd structure it like that? Any guesses?
Maybe targeting different climates. Or maybe it's just how the battery and motor combos worked out initially. Could be a rollout thing.
Could be. Okay, and then above the RS, you've got the SS. That's the main event for our whip check.
Absolutely. This one jumps way up. Around 560 horsepower, maybe 665 pound-feet of torque. All-wheel drive standard, obviously.
And range on the SS, still around 290 miles.
Yeah, estimated around 290. So big power jump, similar range to the lower trims.
And Doug also mentioned a future base model, front-wheel drive, even cheaper.
Right, that's coming down the line. So it's going to be quite a spread of options eventually.
What really gets me is the name, Blazer EV versus the regular gas Blazer.
Oh, totally different vehicle.
Right, same name, but zero shared parts, different platform, everything. They just like the name, I guess.
Seems like it. Definitely something people need to be aware of. This isn't just an electric version of the gas model.
Good point. Okay, so moving past the slightly confusing trims, let's talk quirks and features. What stood out from the reviews?
Well, Doug pointed out the wheels on the RS he drove. 21-inch wheels, but with 6 lug nuts.
6, like on a heavy-duty truck.
Exactly. Kind of strange for a crossover.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe suggest the platform underneath is pretty robust, or just component sharing.
Interesting. And the lights do a little show.
Yeah, front and rear light bars.
Yeah.
They have these, welcome animations when you approach or unlock the car. Pretty slick.
And the Chevy bow tie lights up, too.
It does, yeah. On the front grille. Gives it a distinct look, especially at night.
Okay, what about the charge port? That seemed kind of unique in the videos.
Oh, yeah, it's not just a flap. You press these little lines, it pops out, and then sort of, robotically folds down.
Robotic.
Well, very deliberate,
Yeah.
And you tap a button to close it. Definitely fancier than a gas cap.
Highlighting the E in EV, maybe? Speaking of which, the badge itself.
Right, on the back, the E in Blazer EV is replaced by 3 blue horizontal lines. Seems to be Chevy's new EV signature.
Gotcha. Size-wise, how does it stack up? Doug compared it to a 4Runner.
Yeah, similar length, but the Blazer EV has a much longer wheelbase.
Ah, so that usually means more space inside, right?
Exactly, especially for rear passengers. Redline Reviews mentioned the back seat is pretty spacious.
And they get some decent features back there?
Yeah, heated rear seats, USB-C ports, their own climate vents. Pretty well equipped for passengers. And you can get this black and adrenaline red interior. Adds a bit of spice.
Nice. Okay, let's move inside the cabin. That giant screen is unavoidable.
Seriously. 17.7 inches.
Yeah.
Doug seemed genuinely impressed with it. Said it was really responsive, intuitive.
And it's got Google built right in. Maps Assistant.
Yep. The Google Maps integration sounds pretty smart, too. Shows your estimated charge on arrival.
Oh, that's handy.
Yeah.
Does it suggest charging stops?
Yeah. automatically if you need them for your route. And the map itself fills the whole curved screen, edge to edge. Looks very modern.
But it's not all screen, right? I
Eh,
think I saw buttons.
Thankfully, no. Chevy kept physical knobs and buttons for climate control. Much easier to use without looking.
Good call. And regular stocks for wipers and stuff.
Yep, traditional stocks. No fiddling through menus for basic functions, which is always a relief.
What about other controls? Are they buried in the screen?
Some are. Drive modes, headlight settings, even the dome light switch is on the screen. Kind of mixes physical and digital controls.
Interesting mix. And Doug mentioned something about the steering wheel. A blank spot.
Yeah, apparently that's where the Super Cruise controls will go. GM's hands-free driving tech.
So it's coming, but not quite there at launch on the models he drove.
Seems like it.
Yeah.
Expected early next year, he said. But the gauge cluster screen is there, and it looks great.
Customizable? Can it show a map?
Very configurable, yeah. And it can show a full screen map right in front of you, which is super useful. Plus, there's a heads-up display.
HUD. Nice. And the rearview mirror can be a camera?
Yep, digital rearview mirror.
Yeah.
Great if your view out back is blocked by people or cargo.
Okay, tech-wise, it sounds pretty loaded. What about, like, phone charging and small details?
Got a wireless charging pad, shows the status right on the big screen, which is neat. And some hidden USB-C ports in the center console.
Hidden.
Yeah, the console lid kind of rolls back and they're tucked under there. Oh, and the side air vents have this cool, like, jet engine design. A little stylistic flair.
And no start button.
Nope. Keyless entry, foot on the brake, put it in gear, and you go. But there are icons on the screen to force it off or keep it running for an hour if you need to step out.
Weird little option. Okay, overall interior quality. For the price, say, low $60 for the RS Doug had.
He felt it was pretty much on par. Decent materials, saw some nice stitching, bits of Alcantara, met expectations, basically.
Gotcha. No, practicality. Storage space. Any front trunk.
Surprisingly, no. Which, yeah, feels like a bit of a missed opportunity on an EV platform.
Okay. But the back cargo area.
Described as surprisingly large, actually. And there's useful underfloor storage, too. An extra compartment and a deeper, narrow spot. Good for hiding stuff.
Power tailgate.
Yep. One little niggle Doug mentioned was no separate lock button on the tailgate itself. You got to close it, then lock the car.
Minor thing. But it can open automatically.
Yeah, if you approach from the back with the key fob, it can sense you and open up. Handy if your arms are full. You could turn that off, though.
Right, sometimes you don't want that. Okay, let's shift gears to driving the standard RS. How did that feel, according to Doug?
Well, first thing, the seating position is higher than you might think. More traditional SUV feel.
And the power, that 290 to 325 horsepower?
He described it as fine, adequate, but not super quick compared to some other EVs.
Okay, so not thrilling.
Not exactly. He kind of hinted that the real value might be stepping up to the SS for the power, especially since the price jump isn't that huge, relatively speaking.
Makes sense. How was the ride and handling on the RS?
Ride quality was smooth, comfortable, good for daily driving, highway cruising, but maybe not, like, best-in-class smooth.
And handling. Does it feel sporty like the Blazer name might suggest?
More predictable crossover handling, he said. Not particularly exciting or sporty, like you might hope for from something sharing a name with a Camaro relative.
So overall impression of the standard Blazer EV drive?
Good, but maybe not a leader. He seemed to feel it really needed that Super Cruise system activated and obviously the SS performance to make it truly compelling.
And that reflected in his score.
Yeah, the Doug score was 59 out of 100, which put it a bit behind some key rivals, mostly due to that fine performance and lack of the driving assist tech at launch.
Okay, so the standard model is decent, maybe a bit confusing, but the real excitement, the real whip check is for the SS.
Absolutely. Now we get to the fun part. Redline Reviews and Autofocus were definitely hyped about this one.
So the SS, what are the headline numbers?
Big numbers. It pushes out up to 615 horsepower and a massive 650 pound-feet of torque.
Whoa, 615. I thought it was 560.
That's in WOW mode, wide open watts. Standard mode is still a very healthy 515 horsepower and 450 torque. Dual motors, all-wheel drive.
Okay, WOW mode. Got it. And the price for all that? Redline's tester.
Just under $64,000. And for that, 0-60 mile per in just 3.4 seconds.
3.4. That's properly quick for an SUV, top speed.
Estimated around 130 mile per. So yeah, serious performance jump from the RS.
What about the battery and range for the SS?
It gets a bigger 102 kilowatt battery pack Range is estimated at 303 miles, so you actually gain a bit over the standard AWD models.
That's impressive. Usually more power means less range. Charging speed.
Max DC fast charging is 190 kilowatts. It is heavier, though, around 5,700 pounds. Big battery, 2 motors, adds up.
Makes sense. How does the SS look different on the outside?
Unique front fascia, kind of more aggressive. Black Chevy bow tie instead of gold. Standard 22-inch wheels.
22 standard, wow. And bigger brakes.
Yep, Brembo calipers are standard. You can see them peeking through those big wheels. Suggests they took stopping seriously.
Is there an even higher performance pack?
There is, yeah. Optional pack gets you stickier summer tires, better brake rotors and pads. Pretty cheap, too, like $395, Redline said.
That does seem reasonable. Same charge port door.
Yep, same fancy robotic door.
Any other exterior SS touches?
Big sunroof, sporty rear bumper design, SS and AWD badges, unique taillight details. Looks the part.
And trunk space is the same. Still decent.
Yeah, confirmed good space. 25.8 cubic feet behind the seats. Expands to around 59 with them folded. Still practical. Standard Chevy key fob. Nothing too fancy there.
Okay, inside the SS, does it feel sportier?
Definitely. Lots of red. You can get red leather or vinyl. Red stitching everywhere. Some faux carbon fiber trim. Bose audio is standard too.
Same giant screen.
Same 17.7-inch screen, still with Google built in. And still no Apple CarPlay, which is a choice.
Yeah, that's a GM thing now. Drive modes must include that WOW mode, right?
For sure. Plus other modes.
Yes.
And importantly, still physical climate controls.
Good. Steering wheel.
It's an SS badge, flat bottom. Feels a bit more special.
And Super Cruise. Is that standard on the SS?
It is, yeah. Standard on the SS comes with a 3-year subscription included. That's a big plus.
So you get the hands-free driving tech right away, interior space and features otherwise.
Still roomy. Seats get SS embossed logos, heated and cooled up front. Plenty of storage, rear vents, heated rear seats, USB-C ports, digital mirror and sunroof available too. Pretty loaded.
All right, so how does it drive? That's the key for an SS Redline's take.
Power. Just immediate, massive power and torque, especially in WOW made. They really emphasize that.
Does it feel harsh with those 22-inch wheels?
Surprisingly, no. They said the suspension was actually pretty comfortable for daily driving. Good balance.
That's good to hear. Ergonomics, visibility.
All reported as good, easy to get comfortable, easy to see out of. And the efficiency they saw was pretty close to the EPA numbers.
How was the Super Cruise experience?
Worked well on a highway, they said. So it seems like it strikes a really nice balance. You get the crazy performance, but it's still practical enough for family duty.
And the Brembo brakes? Did they feel strong?
Oh yeah, definitely a highlight. Strong, confident stopping power. Redline summed it up as a unique car, blending that classic SS feel with modern EV tech.
Did they mention handling? Could it actually take a corner?
They did. They even took it on a track briefly. Praised its cornering ability and those strong brakes again. Felt capable.
So it's got that dual personality, commuter and canyon carver.
Exactly. Comfortable and efficient enough for the daily grind, but ready to unleash serious fun in the sport modes. They suggested it might be the quickest and most powerful in its class right now.
And you can actually buy one now.
Yep, Redline confirmed they're hitting dealerships, available for order. So the wait is over if you want one.
Okay, now autofocus took a slightly different angle, right? More about the value proposition.
Yeah, they framed the SS badge as representing sensible sport. And their big headline was basically, this is the cheapest way to get a new EV with over 600 horsepower and 300 miles of range.
Cheapest 600 HP, 300 miles EV. That's a bold claim. What was their price point?
Starting around $62,000, their tester was $64,000. So very similar to Redline's.
And their point was that other fast EVs often sacrifice range.
Exactly. You often see performance variants where the range takes a big hit. The SS seemed to deliver both, which is pretty compelling at that price.
Did autofocus highlight any specific hardware differences for the SS?
They mentioned the bigger 6-piston front brakes.
Yeah.
And that the suspension is entirely independent and specifically tuned just for the SS. It's not just software and motors.
Good to know. Visually, they agreed it's pretty similar to the regular Blazer EV, apart from the badges.
Yeah, pretty much. Pointed out the SS badges as the main giveaway. And of course, they mentioned the unique charge port door, too. Seems everyone notices that.
Did they compare the performance to anything else?
Interestingly, yes.
Yeah.
They drew a direct comparison to the Cadillac Lyriq V. Similar specs, they said, but the Caddy costs significantly more.
Ah, positioning the Blazer SS as the performance bargain. Smart comparison.
Definitely frames it that way.
Yeah.
They had one in habanero red, like the color, also like the practical stuff, auto tailgate, good trunk, with the subfloor storage.
How did they they feel about the SS interior compared to, say, that Lyric?
They thought it was spacious, comfortable, practical storage, but noted it uses maybe more cloth and plastic compared to the premium feel of the Lyric. Fits that sensible sport idea, good, but not luxury.
Still like the controls. Physical buttons plus the screen.
Yeah, praise the intuitive physical controls for climate and stuff, alongside the big Google screen. Said the software works smoothly, like the built-in apps.
In confirmed WLW mode gives sustained power.
Yep, not just a short burst. And described the ride as smooth and compliant. Not harsh at all, again, reinforcing the usability. Good rear legroom, heated rear seats, too.
So autofocus's conclusion.
Pretty much it's hard to beat if you want 600 horsepower and 300 miles of range in a new EV for around $64,000. Doesn't seem to sacrifice practicality or range for the speed. Makes it a really strong contender. It definitely passed their whip check for power and value.
Okay, so wrapping this all up, the Blazer EV lineup is maybe a bit complex initially.
Yeah, the LT and RS choices are a little quirky.
But the SS model really seems to stand out. Impressive performance, good range, and critically a competitive price point. It really nails that sensible sport category autofocus talked about.
Absolutely, it feels like the star of the lineup for sure.
So this deep dive, this whip check on the Blazer EV SS, it makes you wonder, doesn't it, with EVs evolving so fast and Chevy dropping this kind of performance at this price?
What does it mean for the future of performance SUVs? Is high horsepower becoming more democratized?
Exactly. Did Chevy just land a big punch here? How are rivals like Ford with the Mach-E GT or Tesla with the Model Y Performance going to respond to this?
Those are the big questions, aren't they? It's something for you, the listener, to really think about. Which version of the Blazer EV might fit your needs? And what does the SS signal about where the whole market is heading?
Definitely worth digging into more reviews and comparisons if you're considering one.
For sure. But based on what we've seen today,
Yeah, it feels like with the Blazer EV SS, Chevrolet hasn't just shown up. They've definitely thrown down the gauntlet. That's a successful whip check, I'd say.